Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Carefree Town Council Candidate Forum. I am Steve Felton with the Chamber of Commerce. With me tonight helping out, we have Rebecca Nisek, one of our board members, Mel Francesca, and Lisa Yonick out in front. I'd like to also thank Spirit in the Desert for providing the space and getting everything set up for us. Really appreciate that. If you need restrooms, just go right outside the door. First right for the men, second right for the ladies. There is water out there. Please watch. They gave us a little leeway of letting us have water in here, so please keep those lids on there and avoid spillage. They are allowing water today. I'd like to give you an overview of the format this evening. The first round will be their 2-minute introduction in alphabetical order. The next 2 questions will be provided by the Chamber and curated from what was heard at Town Council meetings and online postings. The candidates will be asked these questions in random order. The final question will be drawn from a question that was submitted at the front desk and presented to the candidates in random order. They all received the exact same question. And in the final round, the candidates will be asked in reverse alphabetical order to present their 2-minute closing statement. And if you have a question, please complete the form at the front desk. And then our committee, Lee and Mel, will curate one of those questions that are germane to the forum and a question that has not been asked to every candidate at that time. Questions cannot be candidate specific since it's asked to all of them, or what if speculative questions. We do have a timer. Every candidate will have up to 2 minutes to answer the question. The timer will show a green card to the candidates at 1 minute and 30 seconds, a yellow card at 1 minute and 45 seconds to start wrapping up, and a red card at 2 minutes stating their time is up, and we will move on to the next candidate. And we do have a very loud cowbell to remind them. All the candidates have been fully briefed in advance on the format and timing. Candidates may ask for the question to be repeated. I'd like to thank Mel, one of our board members, for doing our recordings tonight. Appreciate that. And folks, let's be a little respectful and courteous without comment, remarks, or noises from the audience. Please make sure to turn off your cell phones to either airplane mode or silent to not to disrupt the candidates or everyone else in the room at this forum. Here's our disclaimer. Per our bylaws, the Chamber's bylaws, the Carefree Cave Creek Chamber of Commerce does not endorse any local, state, or national candidates. This forum is being provided solely to allow the community to engage with the candidates in a more intimate setting. Candidates, are you ready? Yes. This round is for the candidates to introduce themselves, and we will go in alphabetical order. They will each have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Shelia Amoroso. I've been on the Carefree Town Council for 3.5 years now. I spent my career at Franklin Templeton Investments. I retired in July of 2020 as the director of the Municipal Bond Department. So I spent my career investing in all sectors of municipal infrastructure as well as state and local government debt. I managed a group of 30 investment professionals, and we provided investment opportunities for retail and institutional clients. And I learned a lot over those decades in the market and analyzing state and local government debt, understanding and analyzing tax policy, fiscal policy, public policy, and that really gave me a broad range and view of what works and what doesn't work at the local level. So I came away from that with a handful of foundational beliefs that I use when I'm making decisions on the town council. The first one is that really the fiscal foundation and fiscal responsibility is paramount to proper fiscal governance. The second one is that our job is to provide services to our residents. That is our primary purpose. And how we do that is take the needs and wants of the community and balance them against our fiscal position and unknown fiscal future. We also have, the green card is 130. We also have to make sure that we are using facts to make decisions. It's vitally important that we use facts to make decisions, and all of our residents deserve us to be doing that. And then finally, we only can budget for needs. It helps us reduce risk from those uncertain situations that we may encounter at some point, but a small budget reduces risk.
So I'm John Crane, I'm the mayor, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and Spirit of the Desert for organizing this event and allowing us to use their space. And I'd also say it's great to share the stage with Melissa Price. And Melissa and I were council people at the same time, and we had a great working relationship, and I'm sure we'll have a great relationship going forward throughout the process and afterwards. So tonight I'm asking you to give me your trust and re-elect me as mayor. So I've served as a councilman, vice mayor, and the mayor now for 3 years. I'm very passionate about public service. I believe in listening, engaging with people, giving them an opportunity to be heard. And I've always believed that, and as a mayor I have done that. And that's part of the beauty of living in a small town. We're all neighbors, we're all friends. And to be able to bring value and to bring to provide help is something that really motivates me. And that's why I've lived here for 37 years now. So if we look back on some of the things we focused on my term, financial stability, improving infrastructure, transparency, and having an accessible mayor, public safety, the economic development, and being good environmental stewards. So these are the things that we focused on, and throughout the evening we'll have a chance to talk about some of the things we're going to do moving forward. But we have exciting things coming up, and that we will be able to move forward and make happen. So I thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Les Hardie. My wife Sue and I moved here 7 years ago. We lived in Southern California where I practiced law, but I spent most of my time fighting development in the Santa Monica Mountains, and we have a long history of fighting inappropriate and damaging developments in the Santa Monica Mountains. So I have that in my background. But our son went to Embry-Riddle, and whenever we would come visit him and we would cross the state line into Arizona, it was like a breath of fresh air. And so when we both retired, we decided to come to Arizona, and when we came here, we hit the ground running. I joined Kiwanis. I became a docent at the Cave Creek Museum, where I had to really learn a lot real fast, sort of like a one-eyed man leading the blind, but it worked. I also, my most important thing that I did is I became a volunteer at Annunciation School, where to this day I teach cursive writing to 6th graders who unfortunately write like chicken scratching, and I can help them form letters. I also do debate and speech for 7th and 8th graders. I've been a member of the Planning and Zoning because for my entire adult life I've been interested in public events, town events, the architecture of town, how towns work, what makes a town viable, what makes it healthy. And I think we're doing that on planning and zoning. I would like to sort of step up and maybe expand the scope of what I'm able to do. But my view about all of this is that it has to be financially conservative. We have to understand what the facts are, but it's all incremental. I am not a bomb thrower and someone who wants to blow things up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to be here. My name is Peter Gladkin. I am running for Town Council. I have been a Carefree resident now for about 4 years. I moved here from Terra Vita in North Scottsdale, just down the road, and before that, Phoenix, South Mountain. What really drew us into Carefree was the tranquility of the town. Having some land, being able to enjoy the solitude, the nature, living with the animals, hearing the animals, enjoying the dark skies at night. And it's something really special that Carefree has, and it's something that I really want to protect. I never really thought I was going to be getting into politics. I'd say my political career kind of began in front of the post office when the property tax war kind of went on a few years back. 4 out of 5 people voted no on that property tax, which is an incredible turnout, and that's really something that this town should be commended for. I went on with some friends that I made to work on the general plan, and we put in a lot of time and effort to that general plan, and again, to the credit of the town, there was a major turnout. Unfortunately, I feel like the town council, as it sits, has not listened to the wishes of the town in adopting that general plan and moving things forward. And that's really why I've decided to run. I want to represent you, be your voice on the council, work on business revitalization. I want to be pro-business. It's important to me to keep no property taxes here in the town and ultimately represent your wishes on the council. So thank you very much. I certainly look forward to earning your respect and your vote shortly. Thank you.
Time for the reading glasses. Hi, my name is George Nelson. I'm from New York via Florida. And needless to say, I would love to take the time to speak about myself and say how wonderful things are. I have a different perspective and I have a different message. So I'll be a little different, and I apologize. I thought the process was going to be different. We had 3 or 4 minutes up front, so you're going to have to wait for the rest of the words at the end of the session. Anyway, I am running on the principle of taking California out of Carefree. What do I mean by that? Our country has lost its way by its voters wearing blinders and continuing to re-elect candidates that have proven not to represent their interests. These blinders have crept into Carefree. In other words, I don't think our interests have been represented by the existing mayor or the existing council. And I'll give you the reasons why, okay? First of all, our system of government here, you elect these people, but unfortunately, they continue the policy that's been going on, from my understanding, about 20 years, more prolific now. They take directions from the employees that we pay, okay? That's not the way it's supposed to be. If we get elected, we're supposed to be making all the decisions and telling the employees what we want. What we want is what the people want. And just using what's emblematic of what's wrong, just using the hotel as an example. I was told that we were going to get a boutique hotel. Well, it's not that I care about a particular hotel, but I certainly care about the image and the reputation of Carefree and what it means to our overall reputation and why people want to come here and what it means to us, okay? It's not a Hampton Inn. That Hampton Inn belonged on the 101 off-ramp. I'm done. They didn't want to hear about the Hampton Inn.
My name is Melissa Price, and I'm from Ohio originally. I went to college in Indiana. So my Midwest roots really kind of define who I am, along with being a Messianic Judeo-Christian. I believe in honoring God, hard work, and honesty. I came out here in my 20s to Arizona, and I started working for a law firm downtown. They shipped me off to California right away and to set up a satellite law office there. I freelanced for a while and ended up at Lockheed Martin in Sunnyvale, California. And I was very fortunate to work with executive management in California. Lockheed's site there was about 30,000 people. And I was, again, fortunate that they allowed me to lead many different projects. So I do understand project management. I understand milestones, metrics, measurements, P&L statements, and balance sheets. And at one point, I decided to leave Lockheed, came back to Arizona, and one of the aerospace executives called me and said, would you go into partnership with me? Which we did for the next 16 years. And then I also started a boutique in Carefree. So I have been an owner in the Carefree Town Center. I understand what those people go through. I eventually joined Town Council and was honored to be voted in as Vice Mayor. And I know I'm running out of time here, so I will finish up later, I think. Thank you.
My name is Sharon Smith, and I thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I fell in love with Carefree more than a decade ago during a visit with my family to the area. I bought a condo here in 2015 and moved in late 2019 following my retirement from the presidency of the University of Pittsburgh at Greensburg. I'm an economist by training and have spent my career in a variety of leadership positions in business, government, and academia. Those experiences, especially in labor relations and in the private sector, and in the shared governance of higher education administration, helped me appreciate the value of collaboration and cooperation among constituencies and colleagues. Transparency is essential for a representative of the citizens of Carefree. Respect for citizens' views and a commitment to work with staff and colleagues on the council are equally vital. These are central elements that would define my participation on the town council if I am given the opportunity to serve. Since the pandemic, I have been increasingly involved in service to this community. I'm a regular attendee in the town council, and I have helped on special projects, including providing advice on the compensation study and on the economic development plan. For the last 3 years, I have been a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission and its connected boards. Carefree has been very well run, but we cannot rest on past laurels. Carefree faces many challenges, both internal and external. If elected, I will do my best to work with the mayor and other town council members and staff to anticipate and address these challenges. My focus will be to ensure that our collective decisions maintain the legacy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ted Taylor. Thank you all for taking the time and for caring enough to be here to actively participate in the political process. I hope tonight I can earn your support and your vote on Election Day. I'm running for town council because we need to protect our open spaces and peaceful way of life, while also bringing in enough revenue to cover the cost of running the town. It's a balance, and there will be some give and take. I am running because this doesn't seem to be happening. I will facilitate council and residents working together and staying involved so we can find solutions that support our community and are acceptable to residents. I moved here in 2020 because I was attracted by the peaceful nature. I served on active duty with Army Airborne and Special Forces units and have more than 20 years of experience operating my own real estate and retail businesses. I currently work full-time for the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and I'm based out of the Phoenix HUD office. We need responsible leadership that will control payroll costs, actively protect open spaces, and prepare for declining sales tax revenue before it becomes a crisis. Thank you.
For this next round of questions, we will start with Melissa Price. Water is a critical issue for the future of Carefree. What is your current assessment of our community's water supply and long-term sustainability, and what specific actions would you support to ensure reliable water for residents and businesses?
I think we definitely need to keep our eye on what our state representatives are doing. And they're negotiating right now with the upper and lower basins. And it sounds like it's getting to be a very critical situation. I think Carefree currently is well positioned. We have a good aquifer that we rely on. And the same with getting part of our water from Scottsdale and the CAP, the Central Arizona Project. What I worry about is the fact that we are in a lot of debt with our water company. And I know there are people that will say, oh, well, that's not the town's debt. But the town owns the water company. It is our debt. And I would have made different decisions in regard to what happened with the water company. And right now, I think that we are trying to supplement them almost $4 million a year. So we need to be definitely fiscally responsible and look at what we can do to operate within our budget.
Great, next up will be John Crane. Would you like me to repeat the question? Sure. Water is a critical issue for the future of Carefree. What is your current assessment of our community's water supply and long-term sustainability? And what specific actions would you support to ensure reliable water for the residents and businesses?
All right, so water is critical, right? So lifeblood of our town. Today we use about 70% of our CAP allocation, Central Arizona Water Project water comes up from the Colorado, and the balance is from aquifers that we have. We know that our aquifers for the last 5 years have been level, so we're not depleting, they're not going up, but given that we're in a 25-year plus drought, that's pretty good. But we run up against this drought again because CAP allocations will very likely be cut significantly going forward. So that means cuts on the order of about 20%. So we're very fortunate in that we have a robust water portfolio, right? A great aquifer, water from CAP. So when those cuts come, we'll need to tighten our belts a little bit because it's the right thing to do. Unlike other municipalities who might not have such a robust water portfolio, those cuts will be much more draconian and they'll be felt. So how do we do this? Well, we need to manage, we need to educate our water users, let them know that 70% of their water is consumed outdoors, irrigation, pools, fountains, and to get them to work with their landscapers and reduce that as much as possible. And we need to encourage them to plant proper landscaping, right? Plants don't use as much water. And it's all a function of irrigation. Plus, our water company offers something called Ion Water, which allows their customers, every one of your customers, to observe your usage day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. It's incredible. So if you have a leak, you can find it. If you go out of town for the summer, you can monitor on your laptop and you see what's going on. So it'll be more important than ever for us to individually be good stewards of water and to take these steps that we're talking about. Thank you.
Next up will be Peter.
First, I think we need to be honest with everyone that our water prices are going up. I don't think anyone has said that, but that's just the stark reality of the situation. I was recently at a meet and greet with David Schweiker, who is running for governor, and he had serious concerns about our water coming from the Colorado, our current reservoirs, and yes, perhaps we have a nice aquifer, but if anyone has traveled up to Bartlett or out to Meade and looked at these water levels, they're scary. And water isn't just what we drink, we also secure power from it. So we need to be cognizant of the fact that our water is depleting and we have to manage our development accordingly. We cannot continue to develop single-family residences and approve businesses just on a whim because we want, capital improvement or construction fees or expect to be making tax revenue off of them. Of course, all that's important, but we have to be able to assure water for the people and the residents that are currently living here without completely watching our water prices grow exponentially. So what's it going to take? Honestly, it's going to be difficult. And I think realistically, we all have to be prepared for rate increases, and we're likely going to have to face some type of progressive water fee schedule where your first 2,000 gallons cost X amount, your next 3,000 gallons cost this amount, your next 10,000 gallons cost this amount, and as that proportionally rises, it will help keep our residents from using or misproportionately using water and resources.
Great. Next up will be Sharon.
Yes, the water is a critical issue. It's an essential part of life. If the prices are rising, that is a simple recognition that it's a scarce resource. And it encourages people, if something is more expensive, we use less of it. But that means we've got to be, as we said, monitoring both irrigation, how it is done in my own community. We have some automatic irrigation on plantings, and the board member who oversees this saw an overuse of water, found the irrigation pipes were leaking, and addressed it. That is true for every one of us. If we have regular irrigation systems in our homes, we need to monitor them. Make sure they're not overwatering, that they are not leaking, and use it, respect it as a scarce resource. It's what we all have to do everywhere. There was an article in the paper today that the city of Corpus Christi is running out of water. It's a 300,000 resident city, certainly significantly larger than Carefree, but it's running out of water because of overdevelopment. That's part of the charge of the Planning and Zoning Commission, to be carefully monitoring what we encourage to develop and be sure that we have the resources to offer the water that is needed. I will also add as a personal note that, quite frankly, I am happy that Carefree Water Company now supplies water to the entire town. There is a noticeable difference in the quality of my water since it's been provided by Carefree Water as opposed to Cave Creek. So for the health and well-being of this town, it's nice to know we're getting good water. Thank you.
Next up will be George.
The very first thing I would do is, might as well ask this panel, what would you do for open heart surgery? No one up here is qualified to give you an answer. So what we want is a government, a mayor, and a council to bring in the experts, because the real issue are not the side issues of how you control the water. Our issue is how are we going to get water, and that's above our pay scale, because that involves a lot of things with the state and federal government. We need the wisdom and expertise from them. But I can tell you what I would not do if I was on council. I wouldn't have put in a system where rep would initially only benefited less than 20% of the residents. We end up with a $30 million debt, okay? Even though it only benefited 20% initially, 100% of us are paying for it for years to come. Okay, so if I'm representing the benefit of all the residents, the people that want to be represented, I don't do those things. The fact that in that 20%, our mayor and a few council people happen to live in that area, that's another issue. But as you know, my position is, listening up here, I can't believe all the friends and how wonderful things are. When we go through it, if you take a look at my card, it seems to me, since I lived here, I can think of 4 critical things that we're just not being represented on. The water, and one of the problems is we're listening to people that's very nice, and certainly as council people and a new mayor, we would review things, but we're going to review things from experts that are we're going to share the problem and we're going to examine it. It's not really important what George Nelson has to say about our water. You don't want to hear it from me. So that's what I would bring to the table. I get things done and I bring in the right people to diagnose it.
Next up, Wes.
I agree that we should not listen to George because he's not an expert. I did go to hear some experts last week. I'm a member of the Desert Foothills Leadership Academy, and we spent the morning at the Scottsdale Water Campus. It's an extraordinary place, a state-of-the-art water facility, and we learned a lot. And what we learned is that there are a lot of experts, a lot of scientists, a lot of engineers who are devoted to this extraordinarily complex question of where is the water coming from, how do we get it from the upper basin to the lower basin, how do we distribute it to all of the towns, the water that we use goes to Los Angeles and Las Vegas and Phoenix and all over Southern California and Arizona, and it comes from the upper basin in Utah. The federal government is in control of a lot of that. They are meeting again this year to determine allocations, and Arizona may have a very significant reduction in its allocation. Apart from that, the CAP water, which we get from Lake Havasu, there's an expected 26% reduction this year. But there's some good news, and that is that Carefree does not use all of its CAP allocation. We use less. We are very, very water efficient. With the water that we use from CAP and our aquifers and wells, we are lower than what we need, and even with 26% reduction, we will probably still be able to continue using the water that we have available. What happens in the future, only God knows.
Ted.
Oh, thank you. We are only at 63% build out, which means more residents will need to be accommodated. And I was shocked when I heard that figure. And so how do we deal with cutbacks on our allotment? Are we looking at increasing water usage fees? And for those of you who think the Carefree Council is not transparent enough, this one's for you. According to the Arizona Constitution, the town cannot exceed its indebtedness. The indebtedness is based on the property tax, which is $205 million for Carefree at 6%. What that translates to is that Carefree cannot issue bonds or anything else above the $12 million limit. However, by using a shell corporation, which is called the Utilities Community Facilities District, the UCFD owns 100% of the Carefree Water Company. Carefree Water Company is who we pay our bills to. It's a shell corporation. The board of directors for the UCFD are the town council. Anyway, the town was able to bypass having a vote among all of you and incurring over $19 million in debt, putting Carefree in financial jeopardy. This is called voodoo financing if you look it up in the textbooks. The town owns the UCFD, that in turn owns the Carefree Water Company. The town is 100% indirectly. I mean, this is all, what they did was, what the town council did doing this with this bond issue was all legal, totally legal. But it's these behind the curtain type games that they played. And I don't like that. In other words, they should have gone to you, the voters, and said, guys, okay, here's the issues. Go ahead and, vote on this. You want it or you don't want it. They've already lent $3.27 million to the Carefree Water Company that we are in hock for. That indirectly, the town of Carefree and the residents are going to have to pay. Thank you.
So, assessment of our water supply. We get 1,600 acre-feet of water from, we have an allotment of 1,600 acre-feet of water from CAP, so those are basically our water rights. We use just under 1,000 acre-feet, so as John mentioned, we have a nice gap. We're lucky. Unlike Cave Creek, who's essentially over-allotted their water, and they're using all their water at this point, which is why you're reading articles about them in the newspaper. But the Colorado Compact, which is the Upper Basin states and the Lower Basin states, is coming up for renewal in 2027. The Upper Basin states have been unwilling to negotiate at all with the Lower Basin states. The Lower Basin states are Arizona, California, and Nevada. We've put forth, our state and the Lower Basin states have put forth a handful of solutions to the Bureau of Reclamation to, work towards a solution, because the river is not producing as much water as it was expected to produce. The latest solution that they have put forward is that California, Arizona, and Nevada are going to, through either taking less water or conservation, almost 3.2 million acre feet of water in the next 2 years, which would then amount to about a 20% cut in CAP water delivery. So that's well within our 1,600 acre feet, but that doesn't mean we can relax and do nothing about it. We will have to conserve. Most water is used outside of the house, so we're all just going to have to be much more careful. And at the end of the day, it is a scarce resource. We will always have to be very conscientious about it, and that is what our plan should be going forward, no matter what.
For this next question. The town of Carefree currently is exploring open spaces versus economic growth. What would you propose to do with the 48 acres?
Well, the very first thing I would do is ask the people, although that's already been asked. So I think if you're on a council or if you're mayor, your first obligation is to say, what do the people want? And then work as hard as you can to come up with a variety of solutions rather than excuses why it can't be done. And particularly with the park system, the open space, where over 80% of Carefree residents would like to have that space remain open for park use, okay? They certainly don't want it for development. Yet, the individuals that work tirelessly and the committees to raise over $1 million to support this, to get government interaction to make it more difficult and less attractive for a developer to come in, rather than the town council or the mayor work with these people that want to get you 80% of what you want, which of course is going to be very important for Carefree's image, just like not having another Hampton Inn. You don't want more housing development there, as opposed to having an open park, which is going to be much better for the reputation, the image, and also the quality of life, and the reason why we moved here in the first place. My question is, why hasn't the council or the mayor sat down with these people in a serious way to come up with solutions. And that's our job. People say, well, they don't want to pay for it. We don't know all the solutions yet. We don't know exactly what it's going to take. And I would suggest, by the way, it'd be no different as a property owner if someone came to you and said, invest $5,000 to improve your home, you're going to make $15,000 more. So even spending some
All
money.
right, thank you.
on the table.
We're
Thank
going
you.
to move to Les.
The town of Cave Creek just indebted itself to the tune of $10.5 million on a bond issue to buy 4,000 acres of open space in Cave Creek. That was $2,600 an acre. The parcel that we're talking about is 48 acres, and it's, I think, on the market for $7 million. It's about $147,000 an acre. So I hear people say, well, Cave Creek just bought a lot of open space, why don't we? Well, that's like comparing a puddle to the ocean. One cost $147,000 an acre, the other $2,600 an acre. The question always is money. How can a $7 million parcel be acquired? People say, well, let's just have the town of Carefree pay for it. Our total budget is $8–9 million a year for everything, for roads, for culverts, for the fire department, for the sheriffs. There is no way on God's green earth that the town of Carefree can write a check and buy a 48-acre parcel that costs $7 million. It would be fiscally, outrageously irresponsible to do that. On the other hand, there are lots of ways that property can be bought. I was involved for many, many years in Southern California in trying to acquire open space. I don't think all of the possible ways to do it have been explored. I think some kind of public-private consortium can be put together to explore the possibility of buying that property. But the idea that the town of Carefree can buy it is simply not feasible.
Sharon?
I think that we can all agree that open space is something that we all love and want to preserve. But unfortunately, in all the discussions, we talk about the potential price of opening this space, but no one addresses the maintenance of that space. If we have a park, there's a whole array of continuing and probably increasing expenses to keep that park. The trails, the maintenance of the property, rest facilities, a whole array of things. And I think that it's simply beyond the resources of this town of Carefree, both to make the initial purchase, as Russ pointed out, much less to add that maintenance to the other expenses of our town. A public-private partnership would be delightful, but that public-private partnership has to provide the continuing expenses to maintain the property so that it does not become an eyesore, but rather an enhancement to a lovely town. Thank you.
Next up is David Ted.
We're very fortunate. We get to live in a park here in Carefree. The average square miles per 1,000 residents across the United States is something like 13 square miles of land for every 1,000 residents, which means somebody in a town our size anywhere else, the average open space is about 50 square miles. We have 10 times that. So it's fortunate that we have that, and the more we have, I think the better. On that property, if you put 20, 30 homes, it's not going to make a hill of beans in terms of generating sales tax revenue or anything else. I think the important thing is that we, as being on the council, that we support the efforts, not monetarily, I'm not for doing it monetarily, but we support the efforts of those groups that are trying to do something or trying to acquire it. I don't know what form that would take, but at least we would lend support on the council trying to do that. Thank you.
Next up will be Shelia. Yes, the town of Carefree currently is exploring open spaces versus economic growth. What would you propose to do with the 48 acres?
Not exactly sure. Open spaces versus economic growth. I don't really even understand what that means exactly. But we have worked with the open space groups, and John has been a huge champion in trying to help them raise money and put together groups that can come together and try to determine the best way to go about getting the 48 acres into open space. Right now, it's zoned residential, it's owned by the state, it has to go to auction. So we don't really know what the full cost of that would be. And right now I'm hearing anywhere from, in lots around there, 1 acre lots are ranging anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 an acre in Carefree. Okay, that's way more than $7 million. We have to make trade-offs in every decision we make. And so if you look at the cost of that acreage, which is going to be, I'm thinking, way more than $7 million, and you want us to use our capital budget for that, then we have to ask, what are you willing to give up to have the park? Because we don't have unlimited funds. And that's why I said earlier that we have to take the needs and wants of the community into consideration and balance them against our fiscal position and unknown fiscal future. Because needs are necessary, wants are not necessary, they're nice to have, and we only budget for needs. So we would have to, we didn't talk about Bartlett Dam when we were talking about water, but that is going to cost a lot of money if we want to stay in that and have a secondary resource for water down the road. It is way down the road, but we would have to talk about what you're willing to give up with town infrastructure to have a park.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, I heard about the open space preservation project, the park that they wanted, and I'm thinking, I'm a city gal, I could care less about traipsing through the desert. However, I found out that 88% of the people that took the time, that care about our community, that responded to the general plan survey out there, they want it. It's very important to the majority of the people that care about this town. So I took a different view, and I think we're responsible up here for representing what the people in this town want, and not just how we feel personally. So I have already talked with state land people. I know that there are compromises that can be made. And one side may not get everything they want, the other side may not get, the state may not get everything it wants, but there are ways to make this work, and we as a council need to work with these people and try to make this happen. I've heard figures of 12 million, so it's not something that I think we just shove aside and give lip service to. I think we actually try to make this happen.
Great. Next up will be John.
So the land we're talking about is state trust land right across from the airport, 48 acres. The charter of the state trust land department is to sell that land for the highest bidder. It was appraised at about $7 million 4 or 5 years ago, and it's probably reasonable to expect this. Today is probably north of $10 million. It's a pretty big nut, especially for a town to consider our municipality to take it on, because our operating budget's like $8.5 million. So what have we done in the meantime to help those who are interested in this group? They're called Carefree Park. That we've helped them. We've had set up meetings and attended meetings with them at the State Trust Land Department. We have introduced them to Maricopa County Parks and Recs executive directors. We have written columns to support the effort and encourage donations, and we'll continue to do so. We've encouraged them to work with the Desert Photos Land Trust, and they are at least talking to one another now. But it's a big lift. And let's talk about the general plan and the surveys that were done. We all love open space, right? But there's different definitions of open space. Open space to one person is pristine. You don't walk on a desert. Someone else, it's a trail. Someone else, it's a golf course. Someone else, we live in 1 acre houses, and we limit where construction can go. We have open space all around our houses. We all have different definitions. So to say that 80% of our town wants to acquire that park, it's unfortunately that's not the case. So working together with those who want to move it forward, we can do that. In fact, in our latest budget, we set aside a placeholder for $2 million to, in case we ever get a grant from the state trust, the state park and trails system. So we're positioned to move it forward.
Next up is Peter.
In case we ever get a grant, I would like to see us maybe take some action and try to apply for some grants. I'd like to remind the sitting council members of some goals in our general plan relating to open space. One is to preserve and protect the town's Sonoran Desert. The priority to accomplish that goal is to acquire select properties for preservation and conservation. We're not doing that. Another goal, increase inventory of passive and active open space throughout the town. We're not doing that either. One of the action steps that was supposed to be taken was to form an open space stakeholder advisory committee. We haven't done that. This general plan was passed in November of 2024, to suggest we haven't had time to take these steps is just, I mean, that dog doesn't hunt. So what we need to do, as Melissa said, is we need to listen to our community, and we need to do whatever we can to preserve and acquire this open space, because that's ultimately what our town wants. And 7 million, 10 million, whatever it may be, may sound like a lot of money, but where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm confident that we would be able to achieve that given the opportunity.
We'll go right back to Peter. He's right in the middle, why not? This question was curated from the questions that were submitted. Looks like the most popular one is, looking forward, what are the top 3 areas the town of Carefree should focus on?
Looking forward, I think, one, open space is very, very important, but since I just spent some time on that, I think town revitalization is front of mind. Our town needs a facelift, and not only that, we need to develop the northeast corner. We've seen 3 developers walk away from that northeast project. If one walks away, fine, you can blame us, we can blame them. With 3 developers walking away, I think the town's the problem. And we need to do things to fast track that development, whether it's incentivizing that development by reducing the cost of construction, reducing sales tax for a period of time, whatever it may be, we need to get that developed, because sales tax is 63% of our revenue. we need to increase sales tax. Construction fees, development fees, eventually that's going to run out because you can really only develop so much land. As far as revitalization is concerned, we need to be pro-business. We need to work with the property owners, the private property owners inside of this town, and incentivize them sooner rather than later to really invest in this town and give it a facelift. And if that means reducing construction fees in order for them to be incentivized to spend the capital to give our town a facelift, which ultimately is going to bring in more tourists, going to drive more revenue and sales tax, it's going to make them more prosperous, it's going to increase our coffers, and it's going to make all of us happier. That's what we need to look to do.
Let's move over to Sharon.
I think that going forward, there are three critical areas that we need to address. To diversify our revenue stream, we do depend on our sales tax. And there are larger patterns going on in the nation, the way people shop, that are changing some of those sources of revenue. Beyond that, even locally, if the state decides to eliminate the sales tax on food, that will have a serious impact on our sales tax revenues. So part of diversifying that revenue is to build our tourist stream. We can work with our local businesses to make Carefree a potential stop on travelers who are going to the Grand Canyon or to the northern states. That's a possibility to work with Savannah, with tour companies, and to develop, to highlight this town as a potential stop for tourists. To diversify those sources of revenue, we have been carefully and judiciously managed. Our staff is extraordinary in the good job they do with a very minimal staff, and we need to assist them, to encourage them to continue that good work. And of course, we do need to be ready to take action if there are draconian changes in the water allocations as a result of the negotiations on the Colorado River. The final decision is beyond our control, but what is within our control is how we respond to it. Thank you.
Okay, I think there are three areas. Definitely, we need to establish priorities, and increasing our sales tax revenues is key. But we could stop hiring consultants every year for the last 11 years. It's costing us buku bucks. The same thing with lawfare. We've got something like, I don't know how many lawsuits that the town has, many of them instigated themselves against our own business owners, our business property owners, our own residents. And I don't know how many people are aware of that, but we need more transparency, and we need to be more fiscally conservative. And I want to clarify, I would not tap our treasure chest in town for open space, but I know that we can work with the state people and apply for grants that have to go toward open space. I think that's the other key priority that is important for us.
Next up is John.
Okay, so the three main areas that we should focus on are important. Water, we talked about, is critical. I think public safety also, we've made big strides in that area. We just signed a 10-year contract with Rural Metro, so we know what it's going to cost us pretty much for the next 10 years. We can run our budget, we can run our town based on that. It's a strong commitment, and that in turn, they give us a strong commitment. And I would say our relationship with Rural Metro and with Maricopa County Sheriff has never been stronger. But public safety is really important, especially with an ongoing drought, fire dangers that we have today, and we see more and more traffic on our roadways and faster drivers. Economic development is the third one, and critically important. So we look at the northeast corner. We've had developers come and go, but in my mind, the most important thing is that we be patient and we secure developers who we will be proud to work with. We'll be proud to have for the development that'll be on that corner. So we don't want a corner that is 2/3 apartments, 126 units. That was a proposal that came to us. We don't want a proposal or a developer that comes to us with a discount grocer, because a discount grocer is going to bring discount neighbors. What we want is a developer who will bring a quality product, and that requires patience. And hopefully we're moving in that direction today. And the same goes for Easy Street. Okay, so we're on the cusp of a good development, hopefully, on the corner of Easy Street and Ho-Hum. And that will help reinvigorate Easy Street and their town core. All those things will produce sales tax revenue and make us stronger, and it'll give us options. It'll give us discretion to decide what to do and what we shouldn't be doing. So yeah, economic development is critical, but we're in a good spot.
Thank you. Next up is Ted.
Who? Ted?
I'll be very straightforward about this. I believe our payroll is 50% over than what it should be, or can be cut by 50%. The three things that we're talking about, develop the northeast corner, I'm all for it. You know, that should be done. Open space, yes, definitely. But let's talk about budget and payroll. The staff is getting a 3.5% cost of living increase. Doesn't seem like much, you know, hey, inflation, things like that, what you're thinking. 400,000 federal government employees across the nation only got 1%, okay? That's a 2.5% difference. That translates to $40,000 of your tax money here in Carefree. What that means is that you could have 700 linear feet of 6-foot wide commercial sidewalk somewhere in town or your neighborhood. Then you have the city manager. City manager for the following cities: Quartzsite, Eager, Snowflake, Show Low, Thatcher, Chino Valley, Clarkdale, Colorado City, Guadalupe, Camp Verde, all similar to the Carefree in populations ranging from 2,500 to 11,000 people. The pay for those city managers range from 90,000 to 210,000, with an average of about 137,000, which means we overpaid our city manager the past 4 years $100,000 a year. That's $400,000. And by the way, the two incumbents on the stage were there the previous 4 years too. So they have 8 years of overpaying the city manager $100,000 of your money. That's $800,000. What that would buy is a 6-foot wide commercial grade sidewalk from the Carefree border of the Boulders to the Carefree Arch on both sides of Tom Darlington. So that's something for you to think about. And then you have the $500,000 spent on consultants. That would add another mile of sidewalks and bike trails.
All right, thank you very much.
So we've talked a lot about water, already talked about that. That's vitally important, and it's something that not just Carefree is going to have to take very seriously and tackle, but the entire state of Arizona. We definitely have to broaden and diversify our tax base. We've set some foundational, I'm a bottoms-up approach type person. So when I looked at the town center redevelopment, and this was a couple years ago, because my first 2 years in office, I just really focused on meeting people at the post office and listening to our residents and answering their questions and getting the pulse of these people that it's a diversified group of people. So we do need to broadly diversify our tax base. And I felt we had to set the foundation for having the business and property owners rise to the occasion as well. So we improved the gardens, we painted the gardens, we did landscaping on the corners and the sidewalks and the crosswalks. We did some paving project. We started the facade program because I felt like we have to show our commitment to the town center so other people will come in and it'll be a more attractive place for new businesses to come in and tenant recruitment. So I feel like we're now on the cusp of having done those foundational issues, and then we'll be hoping to get with the new development, you know, an upgrade in general. And finally, the northeast corner, this is private property. We don't control private property, and we cannot tell private property owners what to do with their land. We can provide incentives. If you looked at the last deal we were working on with Empire and Diversified, you can see clearly what the incentives were. But this is private property, and I believe in private property rights.
Thank you. Next up is yes.
Well, I agree with a lot of people up on this stage. I agree with Peter about the facade. I helped draft the facade program, which gives the business and building owners a financial contribution from the town to improve the facades of their buildings, because we all know that if you build it, they will come, and we know that if the downtown easy street buildings are refreshed and improved and brightened up, probably we will get better tenants who can pay larger, who have higher sales, which will generate higher revenue. The town lives and dies on its sales tax. We can't rely enough on the restaurants. They only generate about 10% of that sales tax revenue, surprisingly. The hotels generate 20% of the sales tax revenue. Hampton Inn and Savannah, between the two of them, generate 20% of sales tax. But the downtown Easy Street circle is an extraordinary amenity. There are not many towns in the United States that have a curved downtown with a beautiful cactus garden across the walk. There are very few like that. It needs to be improved. I would like to see the roundabout at Wampum and Tom Darlington right next to the arch. We need to do something about that. It's a mess. Somebody's going to get injured there. Everybody I've talked to hates it. And I think that's something that needs to be done this year. The roundabout, which is not a roundabout. It's probably the worst possible design anybody's ever come up with, but I'm not a complainer. I want to just do something about it.
Thank you very much. Next up is George.
Welcome. Boy, this sounds like we're listening to CNN and Fox. We've now listened to a lot of opinions and different ways of looking at things, and it appears to be a bunch of us questioning the ability and what's been done from the existing council and mayor. Nothing can be done unless we have proper financial fiscality. We know that. You all have home budgets. You heard that our budget is over $8 million. We need a few $1 million for the cost. We need this and that. Well, guess what? Maybe if we did it for our town of 3,700 part-time residents on 8.5 miles, 95% built out, maybe if we weren't paying an administrator for all these years $250,000, but here's one better. We're paying an economic development guy. Now, where is the fiscal responsibility from the mayor and the council? We're paying him somewhere over the last 5 years, $750,000 to $1 million. We could all look it up and get the exact number, but it's somewhere between that, okay? What has he accomplished? Nothing. Zero. A bunch of excuses. I said our job is to come up with solutions. There's a lot of bright people in here. There is no good excuse. not to have that corner already in development. That's nonsense. That's not protecting your interests. So when you ask me what's important, what we're looking for, I started my campaign by saying we don't want California mentality in Carefree. The problem in the country is you have too many people with blinders on that just continue to re-elect the people who have a proven record as this group, not the
Thank you very
representatives.
much. We'll be going down to 10. This round is for the candidates to provide any closing statements, and we will ask them in reverse alphabetical order, starting with Ted.
The incumbents on the town council know the issues well, but have they made the choices that you wanted? Are you tired of being ignored? Let me ask you, are you happy with the decisions made by the incumbents over the past 4 years? What have they accomplished? Are you still upset about the cheesy design Hampton Inn? Are you disappointed with the $32 million elevated water storage tank that is not camouflaged into the environment? Are you thrilled to spend thousands in attorney's fees because the town violated the citizens' right to free speech and posting temporary signs? How about paying a former city manager $250,000 a year to supervise 16 employees and then signing a consulting contract with the same individual at the same pay rate to answer questions that should have been addressed while he was city manager? How about potentially spending millions on city hall relocation costs? Why is there no explanation or action since 2018 on the northeast corner retail site after interest and plans were submitted by 3 separate developers? Why did our town spend $600,000 on signs that we barely noticed and really weren't needed? How many sidewalks and bike paths have been built? Where's the action on the state trust land? If you are not happy with the answer to these questions, then why would you reward the same incumbents with your vote? Carefree deserves better. It's time for a new beginning. We need a new slate on the town council. And if you want meaningful, positive change, I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
I think we're all here because we do love Carefree. We think it's a beautiful town. Part of what makes it beautiful is all the good work that has gone into maintaining the infrastructure, regularly updating roads, repairing culverts, working with the local businesses on the facade improvement. It's a very special place that has been very, very frugal in its budgets. We wouldn't have a rainy day fund if we hadn't been frugal with our budgets. We make major capital expenditures on a piece-by-piece basis. We don't go into big debt. It is an extraordinary town that's been 40 years in the making. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Nothing is perfect. But it is, we are always trying to make it better. And I particularly want to point out the staff is extraordinary. I participated in the compensation study, and let me point out that I have experience in this in the public and the private sectors. I wrote a book that was read into the congressional record, and it was the best-selling book in the history of Princeton University Press monographs. I also worked on designing the pay system for represented employees at AT&T when there were 300,000 employees. So I know what I'm doing. That compensation study was extraordinary and led me to deeply appreciate how talented and dedicated those workers are. So if we want to keep this town this way, it's precious and it could be lost. We need to value it, work on sustaining it, continue the good work that created the Carefree that we love. Thank you.
I think you can tell we all love Carefree in our own ways, we have our own perspectives. For me, I think it's a clear-cut decision that we need a change. If you're happy with the past 4 years, 11 years, then you need to vote for John Crane as mayor. I think there are many people on this stage that bring a breath of fresh air, new ideas, and are very fiscally conservative in their viewpoints, and we need that. If you want change, I ask for your vote. I would like to take us back to the future and revitalize our town. I was involved with many of the projects in town, responsible for the Sanderson-Lincoln naming contract that allowed us to do many things in the town center. New lighting, fix our dilapidated fountains, worked with Kiwanis, and made sure that the splash pad had recyclable water in it. We can do so much together, but we need to be on a united page. And I think you can listen to us tonight and realize that we, for the majority of us, think that we need to be fiscally responsible in the future. Thank you.
How many minutes do I get? Well, I think we've all heard enough. I don't know that we need any more platitudes to specifically talk about how wonderful we are. Here's the reality of the situation and the reason I'm running. I'm running for 2 reasons. A dear friend of mine I was speaking to from New York, and unfortunately it's literally tragic. You can cry what's happening in New York. And what happens is the same in California, the same in Detroit, the same in all big cities. And why is that happening? Because what I started this conversation with, people are putting blinders on and re-electing the people that are not representing them. So don't get mad at the individuals. Don't shoot the messenger. Now here's what you need to do if you want to change the town, because the things have not been representing you. From the hotel, to the action to the park, to the development of retail tax revenue. It has not been done. Simple. You can listen to all the excuses you want, or you can vote in people who are going to have solutions. What you need to do, and one of the reasons I ran, we need 4 votes. Because if you don't have 4 votes, just like in Congress in the United States and the Senate, you don't have the control. And if we don't have control, if you do want to change, it's not going to happen. So I suggest you listen, review your notes, look at the people that are supporting change and not telling you how everything has been terrific and to support things. How in the world can you sit here and support people getting an administrator getting $250,000 and then for creating a budget that without question is minimally 20% over, and then turn around and say, we're going to give him up to $250,000 to be a consultant? Is this the type of people you want to represent?
All right, thank you very much. Next up is Peter.
The average age or median age in this town is 69. I'm 47 years old, and I bring a younger perspective to the council that I think this town could use. There's a saying in business, you adapt or die. Kodak, BlackBerry, private sector is littered with examples. This town has been just going along to get along, following the same road. We pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to consultants to draft plans and proposals and guidelines and regulations, when I could plug in a prompt in AI and have it cranked out in an hour. That's money saved, that's money we can use in other places, that's money we can use to buy open space, that's money we can use to revitalize the town. We have to adapt. And the only way we're going to do it is if we bring fresh blood to the council that has true innovation and is willing to rock the boat a little. So if you're happy with going along, get along, and you want this town to turn into a BlackBerry, vote in these regulars. If you are prepared and want change and want to see this town prosper, put some new people in office. I sincerely look forward to your vote.
It's very easy to complain. Everybody likes to complain. It doesn't cost anything. And it also is easy to blame. It's very easy to blame people, to look out and see what the town has done and say, oh, we shouldn't have done this or we shouldn't have done that. But the question is, are those people who are complaining and whining and moaning, are they the ones who are stepping up and doing the work? This is all volunteer work that we do. None of us have to do this. We do it because we love this town and we want to contribute. I want to do it. I don't blame people. I have a feeling like Elon Musk. I read Elon Musk's biography. After his third rocket failed, he said, well, we have one more chance, and we got to get it right. He didn't blame people. He didn't fire people. He said, we got a problem, let's try and fix it. I am an optimistic person. I'm normally a cheerful person. I see these as problems that can be managed and that can be solved, but it has to be done in a spirit of responsibility. It has to be done in a spirit of good cheer toward our fellow members of this beautiful little town. We can't keep blaming each other. People don't like the hotel. Get over it. It's there. Please, people, let's keep going. Let's look to the future and not keep going back to the past over and over again. Thank you.
So tonight I'm asking for your trust to re-elect me as mayor. It's been just an honor to serve as mayor. So if we look over the last 3 years, we've really made strides in public safety and infrastructure improvements, and we've laid the groundwork for economic development improvements. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, we'll be able to continue that momentum moving forward. On the northeast corner, we spoke about that. On Easy Street, we've talked about that. And so if I'm elected, or re-elected, I guarantee you, we will have increased sales tax revenue over the next 4 years, 20-25%. We will have the development, new investments on Easy Street, and that'll require new parking. And we will come up with ways to increase the parking in the town center on the order of 10 to 15% more than it is today. We will manage the water situation. We'll manage our scarce resource of water. And we'll find a clear path forward to tighten our belts with what's coming down the pipe. We'll work with Carefree Park and the Land Trust to move that interest forward. Because there's, not only is there the 48 acres across from the airport, there's hundreds of acres up north which are just pristine, where the town owns land already, where the Land Trust owns land already. So we are on the cusp of doing some significant things, especially on economic development, which allow us to do other things moving forward. And I would just say, I love living in Carefree. I came from a small town. I appreciate small town character. And all that is synonymous with being in a small town, and I will fight to preserve that. So thank you.
So it is really easy to be negative and hypercritical and an armchair quarterback. Anybody can do that. It doesn't take much effort. But what's hard is showing up every day and doing the hard work to make the hard decisions. So that's taking the time and effort to read documents and understand the facts to make decisions. I'm all in favor of new ideas. I'm at the post office every week. If you have a new idea, please come and share it with me. But when I have to qualify this. If you have a new idea, first it has to be legal. Second, it has to be fiscally responsible. And third, it has to be practical for the town. So I love new ideas, I love debating, and I'm happy to do that. And I talk to a wide variety of residents, not just my little posse of friends, but the bulk of the people that live here. Everybody I talk to loves living in Carefree. The bulk of the people that I talk to feel that we're doing a great job. The complaints are few and far between. There's a lot of time that I spend correcting the record and explaining, what the alternative to what the narrative is that's going on in the surface narratives versus the substance. I'm all about substance. And also, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to be very straightforward and frank. If anyone has seen me at town council meetings, you know that. I'm very straightforward. I believe every resident of Carefree should require that we use facts to make decisions. The facts we like, the facts we don't like. But not how we feel, not what we want, or not what we're emotionally attached to. We have to use facts. We all deserve that.
I'd like to thank the candidates for participating in the forum. Please, let's give the candidates a round. Let's also give a round of applause to Spirit in the Desert Retreat Center for And thank you, Mel, for videotaping the whole thing. We will be posting the unedited version on the Chamber's website, and we will be communicating it, so if you want to watch the entirety, knock yourself out, watch it all again. I think live was a little bit better, personally. I would like to give a big thanks to Lee, Rebecca, and Mel, our board members who have helped out this evening. Really appreciate it. Most of all, thank you all for being here and part of this community and getting to listen to the candidates and hearing their platforms to make the decision coming up soon. Please remember to always buy and shop local. We are the Chamber, we really encourage that. We have over 320 wonderful members, so please support our local community. And please remove any trash that you have, because they were gracious to give us the room, and we will help clean up. And thank you all for being here. Drive safe. We will see you soon.
Good. I remember meeting you here. My husband and I dressed as Sesame Street. I met the big lines in Hoosiers and the fire department day. Yes. Good to see you, Carrie.